Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. My name is Abdiafo Mohammed. Welcome to Group 5 presentation of Project Risk Management Assignment. Before we start our presentation, we want to thank our lecturer, Muhammad Hassan Gelle, for his guidance during the preparation of this assignment. With me here today are my group members, my colleagues, in Farhiya, Muhammad Boule, and Ad Fatah. And this presentation is composed of almost 9 sections. The first section is introduction part, project background, and each of the colleagues will be presenting a small portion. Let me welcome my colleague, Muhammad Boule, who will be starting with the introduction part.
Thank you, Afo, for the introduction part for this assignment. The purpose of the assignment is to enable the students to enhance their knowledge and experience on the project risk management plan. In our group of 4, we have identified a NIST Foundation project, which is a Norwegian organization, which was implemented, which is a bush clearance activity that targeted the overgrown bushes within 40 meters on both sides of Kismayo-Mogadishu Road, and cutting of overgrown trees and uprooting of remaining tree stands that are within 10 meters. Next slide. The project background. The project background is Kismayo-Mogadishu Highway is a critical commercial and logistical main road that links the Kismayo seaport to the surrounding. The road connects to proposed target settlements between Yunte and Forwamo, passing along the Juba River. The road is in poor condition due to lack of maintenance works for a long period due to instability over the last 2 decades, and is now nearly impassable state. The importance of the road has increased as the volume of commerce and the logistics has increased since the Jubaland government was formed and been evolving over the time. Labor-intensive approach. We are going to apply labor-intensive approach in this project, whereby NIST has previously implemented labor-intensive project targeting infrastructure improvements. We are going to apply cash for work tool, whereby NIST will work with a steering committee or a project oversight committee, where the different clans, where will be drawn different clans living in the target location, to make sure that the special vulnerable families were selected in equal numbers from the different communities, and that workers were rotated to ensure that a maximum number of beneficiaries participated in the project activity. The steering committee will have the role to solve any dispute that might raise in the selection process at the work of the project site. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mohammed. I will be taking over. A certain risk involved in this project. The first risk is maintenance. And here we mean inability by local authorities to sustain project elements beyond the project period. That is one of the risks we identified. And overall, we want to mitigate. One of the mitigation strategies we'll adopt is local authorities will have a key role in maintaining the project once complemented the implementation. We will work with the steering committee and other local elders. Then next, asserted risk is difficult in bringing some of the project materials. We have some risk. We have some militia groups. We have a Shabab in between the road Mogadishu and Kismayo. So the transportation of equipment and staff to the Yontoy Farwame corridor by road is somehow complicated process with a wide spectrum of probability and consequence events. And here we have mitigation strategies like select transporters based on the capability, strategic goals, and value potential. We'll also work with the Jubaland authorities and AMISOM to facilitate the movement of personnel. And the third risk and last is insecurity, which is a major issue in Somalia. Access to Yonte and Farwama corridor is among key liberated areas in Somalia and so central, where access has been limited. The next thing is risk of exposure. So here we have adopted a mitigation strategy, and number 1 is NIST will determine the easiest option to digest materials locally. Instead of bringing them from other regions like Mogadishu, we will avoid that risk. We'll do our procurement within the location. NIST will also get the assistance from local authorities as well as other local NGOs. Yeah. The next thing is risk monitoring and control balance. We'll identify risk So identification of risk normally starts before the project is initiated, and the number of risks increases as the project matures. So we'll make sure that all the risks are identified at the initiation stage. We also have risk monitor and control plans. And one of these plans we have is to address, this plan will address the risk identification, risk assessment, risk mitigation, and risk contingency planning. We'll also do risk tracking and reporting. If we start with the risk responsibilities, every risk it must have someone who is responsible for. Number one, like when we're talking about risk identification, all project stakeholders are responsible. Risk register, who will document the risk register? It's the project manager. Risk assessment, all project stakeholders are part of the risk assessment, and so forth. We also do risk assessment. Yeah, what do we mean by when we say risk assessment? It's the act of determining the probability that a risk will occur and the impact that event will have. So, as you can see the table, we have a frequency, likelihood of the risk happening. We have occasional, seldom, and improbable. We'll also have, so here, my colleague Farhia will continue from here. Farhia, welcome.
Thank you so much, Hafo. I'll take from here. Executing risk plans is a process of developing options to determine actions to enhance opportunities and reduce threats to the project objectives. Therefore, project team should have strategies that they have appropriate strategies for the risk that they have identified. And for this project, we have these following strategies like avoidance, transparency, mitigation, acceptance, and so on. Risk mitigation involves two steps. Identify various activities or steps to reduce the probability and impact of our risk, and creation of contingency plan to deal with the risk that should occur. Next slide. Risk contingency planning. This contingency planning is happening. This contingency plan is the project for the project team to think of a risk that should occur or will take place. Therefore, they should have a contingency plan that is identifying contingency steps, identifying necessary resources such as money, developing contingency plan schedules, define emergency notification and escalation, develop contingency plan, train materials. They should train their staff, and they should review and update contingency plan if necessary. Next slide. Tracking and reporting. As the project are conducted and completed, risk factors events will be monitored to determine if in fact the trigger events have occurred that would indicate the risk is now reality. Based on trigger events that have been documented during the risk analysis and mitigation process, the project team or project manager will have the authority to enact contingency plans as limit. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Farhia. Absteh, welcome.
Thank you, Farhia. Thank you, Farhia. My part of presentation starts here. This project uses risk assessment tools, which is this is number one. This risk assessment tool, risk matrix, and the next is called the next tool is risk register. Risk register, and both of the tools are very important, very essential when it comes to risk identification. The next is success criteria for the project. Here, these two columns shows where the criteria of the project success. Number one says project is completed on time. When the project is completed on time, it shows that the project has been successfully implemented. Number two, project is completed on budget. Project meets the appropriate quality target. Project delivered all items. Conclusion. These 7 points shows conclusion recommendations. Number one recommendation says they should be established and maintain management committee commitment to performing risk management on all capital projects. Start the risk management process early in the project life cycle. include key stakeholders in the process, evaluate project risk and risk response periodically during the project life cycle, develop risk mitigation plans and update them as the project progresses, follow through with the mitigation action
Mohammed,
until risk acts.
Fatah, thank you.
you.
That brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you all. We'll stop it.